Peace, good people. Salute. Peace and love to everyone. Hope everybody is well. Wanted to come by and touch upon this particular topic because it's one that has been, resonant along the airwaves and across social media. So I figured I'd give a bit of my perspective on it. So Brian Norman has officially jumped aboard the let's placate and galvanize the delusional boxing casuals train. He officially jumped aboard that particular train. Okay. And it's full steam ahead, you guys. I'm sure many of you may know of this already. That Brian Norman is somehow in deep speculation of Devin Haney now as an athlete because of his affiliation to SNAC, and because he was requested to sign up for VADA testing, in preparation of their upcoming fight in November. He is suspicious of Devin because Devin wants to ensure testing be facilitated and upheld in preparation for this fight coming up. You really can't make this stuff up, you guys. Devin is being put under suspicion by Mr. Brian Norman Jr. What? Because he wants to ensure cleanliness for this fight? I mean, what's really the mentality that we are working with here, people? I sit back absolutely astounded trying to piece all of this together. It's absolutely insane to me. And I can't believe that the playing of our intelligence as a boxing public is being allowed to take place in this way. It's absolutely juvenile on every level that this stuff could even be passed out, on a public platform. It's insane to me. Now, for anybody who may not know, Norman Jr., in a recent interview on the Porter Way podcast, found himself spinning all sorts of recitations of the imbecilic claims that posit that Devin Haney, via his affiliation with the SNAC brand and its owner, Victor Conti, ought not to be trusted because he has insisted upon VADA testing for this fight. That's the basis of it, as aforementioned. Because Devin has an affiliation with the SNAC program, the brand that is called SNAC, whose owner and founder is Victor Conte. Because of his affiliation with this, he should not be trusted. It's the same old tune that we've heard for the past year and a half now, right? The same spun tale. Oh, he can't be trusted because he uses the SNAC program. Well, so does the pound for pound number one in the world, Terrence Crawford. So does Mario Barrios. So does the GWOAT, Clarissa Shields. And we can run the gamut on a host of fighters, who participate alongside this particular supplemental and nutrition company. But this is Brian Norman deliberately choosing to run these recitations, And he chose not to leave it here at pointing his suspicions at SNAC. But he, of course, went the whole way and decided to also indict VADA, the Voluntary Anti-Doping Agency program. He's indicting them as well for some type of foul play, I guess. He cannot trust VADA testing all of a sudden, but we'll get into that in just a bit. Real talk, you guys, the charade and the folly of this moronic spinning of a tale, that has been pushed throughout boxing, you guys, beyond Brian Norman, just in general, has been absolutely unbelievable, and my real ones know because we have been watching this tale get spun falsely, misdirected and misguidedly for the past year and a half. Devin Haney ensuring that he and his opponents are tested and clean upon fighting has somehow been conflated and now associated with suspicious activity and behavior. It is now suspicious to posit that you insist upon clean fighting. I mean, you really just can't make this stuff up, you guys. So clean, upright boxing is not the valiant thing to do. Is that what's happening here? Clean, upright boxing is no longer honorable. It's no longer desirable for these fighters who put their lives on the line. That's not what we should be doing and focusing on. Clean testing to ensure clean fighting. What's really going on here, you guys? This is foul play. I really need you to understand what is going on, beautiful people. You all need to see what is being played upon here, upon your intelligence. This is absolute idiocy, these spun tales that are going around and the ones that he is choosing to wave in front of the boxing public, I guess for, I don't know, some kudo points. What's really going on here? How could you be so completely idiotic to ride this particular bandwagon? I can't even wrap my mind around how this type of thing can go over on people. The media has spun a senseless mindlessness into the boxing public, all in an effort to disenfranchise Devin Haney. So much so, that, people within these circles can now convince adults via their platforms, adults who call themselves boxing fans, that now drug testing to safeguard the integrity and the lives of all participants is now somehow counterfeit, is now somehow a debasement or maybe even a show of cowardice now. The fact that you want clean boxing, the fact that Devin Haney insists upon clean fighting via the testing. I'm absolutely dumbfounded, you guys. I can't say that enough. And what's worse yet is that Brian Norman isn't even cognizant of the fact that this only makes him look all the more feeble, playing into the hands and placating the body politic who wants to run with this disgraceful agenda and has been doing so. In the interview, you guys, Brian Norman completely exposes his own questionable testing practices prior to his fight with Devin Haney. That's what took place. He really exposed himself and the questions surrounding all of his methods previous to this Devin Haney fight as far as his testing practices are concerned. He asks the following. He goes, Victor Conti's with the VADA stuff, right? Devin Haney is with Victor Conti, right? And before he can even get through his statement, the sassy peanut gallery, along with Sean Porter, right, start cheering and chanting and turning over pink with pleasure, baby. Just tickled pink, softened with pleasure at the fact of this man, Brian Norman, choosing to take this baseless angle by questioning the relationship between Devin Haney and Conti and the association with VADA and VADA's credence as a testing organization. This is what's happening. They're just turning over pink, just happy that this man decided to take this particular angle, right? Sean Porter says with absolute glee, oh, well, that's all that needs to be said about that. This is what he's saying when Brian Norman brings up these particular speculations, right? Never mind that VADA tests all types of athletes all over the world, globally, and are credited as the most, if not one of the most viable sources and credible sources for anti-doping testing, that can be used in professional sports. But anyway, Brian Norman continues on with his statement by asking the following. He says, quote, is there any other testing organization that we can somehow get into? Because I don't know if I could even trust them. That's how I feel about it. They're click tight. They go way back since kindergarten. How do I know I can trust y'all like that? This is what he is asking. So now Devin Haney is click tight with Victor Conti, and Victor Conti's associated with VADA, according to this man. It's all one big web of imbecility, you guys. I mean, you just cannot wrap your mind around, the level of juvenility that is associated in this entire, logic, mentality, and conversation. The problem with this, you guys, is the following. Brian Norman Sr. said that there was no testing done for Norman Jr.'s last fight when they fought in Japan against Sasaki. On record saying that there was no drug testing for that fight last month. Norman Jr. did not drug test for his fight against Sasaki? Say it ain't so. So that begs the question, well, what fight did this man ever test for previous to this Devin Haney fight? That's a natural question in my view. You know what I'm saying? He made it evident in this interview, Mr. Brian Norman Jr., that is, that this is his first time ever signing up to do VADA testing. This fight with Devin Haney is his introduction to VADA testing. He has never used it previously. Okay? His first time. The funny thing is, if Brian Norman Jr. is only now testing with VADA for the first time, but he is saying that he is a clean fighter with nothing to hide or anything like that. And, I'm going to give him that credit. I'm not trying to put a jacket on him, but I'm just looking at the words. If he is saying so, that he is a clean fighter and all of this, that, and the third, why was this man asking if other testing organizations existed? If he's a clean fighter, who has been testing him in his previous fights? Who has been doing the testing throughout his career? Why are you asking what other agencies and organizations exist? If you're supposing that you're a clean fighter, wouldn't that insinuate that you have a knowledge base, some type of information that you are privy, to other organizations that exist that can facilitate these drug tests? Why are you asking what other options are available? What other options exist? Shouldn't you know that, sir? If you don't use VADA, well, then who have you been using? Or have you not been using anything? I found that to be quite the peculiar question from Mr. Brian Norman on the Portaway podcast. Why are you asking the people interviewing you what other options are available for you to test in your professional career for your fights? The fuck? This would only make one assume, that Norman Jr. likely never partook in competition testing, meaning, testing conducted throughout his training camps and in the lead up to his fights. That's what that makes me suppose. And if that's the case, how the fuck can we be certain about his cleanliness? Okay, are we supposed to just, take his word for it? Is that how that's supposed to be done? And moreover, is Devin not supposed to be looking at you with the eyebrow raised like, listen, bro, you're going to take this test. I don't give a damn what you think you are, clean or otherwise. We're going to prove it via the testing. Okay? He does not even know what options exist for facilitating testing. If testing has been a part of this man's protocol throughout his career, even if just once, let's say, you should at least be informed of that singular option that you have used in the past, right? Have you not undergone testing before, Mr. Norman Jr.? It's crazy that you would even ask that question. The man is speaking of not knowing if he should trust VADA as an agency, accredited agency for 25 plus years or so. He is questioning them. But real talk, I am questioning him. Because I don't know if I should trust you, Mr. Norman. If you've never used VADA testing, or if you don't even have a semblance of familiarity with any other testing body, then I've got questions. What I don't have a question about is the fact that Devin Haney is the only fighter in the world signed up with 365 24/7 drug testing. That's what I do not have a question about. It's absolute debauchery to impose your suspicions upon a man who only wants to ensure that he does not face the same folly that he faced last year against the drug-cheating Ryan Garcia. You want to vitiate the importance of testing, also that you can ride a senseless bandwagon of senseless casuals and media hounds who don't even care about the lives of fighters. The same claim that he is waving around was first spun by the racist Riri Garcia. You know what I'm saying? He's the one that first insinuated, oh, they messed up my drug test, y'all. I think they done tampered with my drug test. VADA corrupted my samples. This is the level of idiocy that Ryan Garcia was on. This is the type of time that he was on last year with all of that craziness that he was spewing out. And this is the logic that you want to echo and emulate? Crazy work, y'all. So in this instance, one can also assume that you putting out the suspicion out there that, VADA may conspire to tamper with your tests somehow. If they come back, with some findings in it, you've already broadcasted to the world that, you find them to be suspicious. So let's say for whatever reason, you pop dirty. Now you could easily make VADA the scapegoat and blame them for having caught you cheating. This man is leaving himself absolutely exposed because he doesn't have the wherewithal or the intelligence, apparently, to just stick to the truth, to just stick to, yes, I'm an upright, athlete, and I'm going to test. It doesn't, matter what Devin Haney asked of me. I'm going to do that because we're going to get this test popping and I'm going to defeat him and show him that I'm the best and leave it as that. All this other, I don't trust the drug testing agency. The most widely used testing agency in the sport is all of a sudden not credible simply because Devin Haney asked me to partake in it to ensure the cleanliness in this fight come November. What is absolutely disgusting to me is the amount of, senseless, useless trickery, hyperbolic tales, the sensationalism, the aggrandizement that is occurring, all in effort to dumb down the boxing public. Nothing can make that make sense to me. These things that are spun on a constant and regular basis just to keep people misinformed intentionally. Just go on and take your drug testing. That's for any fighter, even beyond Brian Norman. The subterfuge, the nonsensical, charades and the tales and just go ahead and go do what you got to do to ensure that you are clean as a fighter. And go ahead and go make something of yourself in that ring. That's what we sign up for. I don't care about the soap opera. Go ahead and go ensure that you are clean. Make sure that your opponent is clean. And let's get to this boxing shit. This fucking chatty patty shit is diabolical to me. It really is an insult to one's intelligence, sitting back and listening to the nonsense that I have been coming across. Brian Norman will readily pick up and regurgitate the tropes of somebody like racist Ryan Garcia, the very man who was caught on PEDs in his fight against Devin Haney last year. This is what he's going to pick up and use. The words of the motherfucker who was caught popping. And he's going to use that to accuse Devin Haney or insinuate in some way that Devin Haney is cheating in some type of roundabout, shady ass way. This is crazy to me. Wasn't Ryan the one saying Victor Conte and Bill Haney rigged my drug test, y'all? That's why it came back dirty. Oh, yeah, by the way, Devin's little brother's the one who actually did it. No, actually, it was Tupac. Tupac lives in Grenada or Cuba. You know what I'm saying? He knew the cousin of the mailman, and that's how they got to Victor Conte to make sure that they tampered with my test. I mean, all types of things that, outlandish, outrageous, crazy shit that people actually fell for in the boxing community. And he is reciting that. What is really the purpose at hand? Is this Brian Norman speaking against drug testing, you guys? I mean, let's call it for what it is. Why else would you go to these lengths to berate and castigate the very testing parameters that are to ensure the safety and integrity of the fighters and of the sport as a whole? What else could be the purpose? So you are against drug testing? Is that what's going on? Okay, you signed up the very next day. Good for you. Why the hell is all this banter still commencing? What is all of this coercive output towards the very thing that's going to, ensure that your life is not tampered with? Your life. The sassy talking against, a drug testing organization will never be justifiable behavior. He and the other dimwits around him or the others with this particular logic across social media might as well say, to hell with drug testing as a whole. Let everybody be doped up to their gills. And, if he dies type shit. That's what they might as well come out and say. And on the hate that they spew towards Victor Conte, real talk, it's not stopping any of, the elite fighters, some notable fighters, from signing up and joining his campaign with the snack program. Okay, snack is a supplement company, just as Nature's Way or Gaia Herbs or any other supplemental brand that you want to think of. I really wish people placed this level of vehemence towards Eddie Reynoso's stable and Eddie Reynoso's suspicious and proven to be suspicious activity and behavior within his gym and in his camp. For I don't know how many fighters, over a handful of fighters, having been caught dirty, and 2 of them within 3 weeks of each other. These people care, quote unquote, about popping dirty and drug cheats in boxing. Why is nobody going over there to overturn that gym and ask him some questions and put those fighters' feet to the fire? But no, they'd rather lambaste Devin Haney, who ensures that every day throughout the year he is open and available for testing. They'd rather label him a drug cheat. They'd rather assume that he is drug cheating, allege that he is drug cheating, no matter how unfounded the claim is. This is what's wrong in boxing today, and this is what Brian Norman is partaking in. This banter, this senseless gossip, and all of this from a person who doesn't even know what other agencies exist to ensure his own fights are clean. I have never once disavowed, the young man, Brian Norman. Like I said, I have been a supporter of his, what I'm saying? And real talk, I am still in support of this young brother. I just do not like the diluted approach that he has decided to assume in this instance. I think it's idiotic to take on these types of talking points. I have rocked with the Normans. I have supported and stood with the Normans, but I do not support juvenility. That's not something that I will ever get behind. I don't care where it's coming from. I'm a grown-ass woman over here. I didn't tolerate or cuss at the mentality when it was first initiated after the scandal of Ryan Garcia popping dirty, and I definitely don't do it now. Asking the world to assume that Devin Haney is somehow suspicious of drug cheating because of his affiliations with Conte and VADA is crazy work, especially when this young man is mouthing verbatim the rhetoric of the very man who was caught dirty against Devin. It's just diabolical. Placating to a puerile narrative based within an obsession with demeaning and castigating elite Black men is never something that I will get behind. Maybe he's not privy to that information, Brian Norman, but that very rhetoric is for the purpose of berating elite Black warriorship in boxing. It's never okay to pick up a debauched or degenerate talking point such as that and sitting around interviewers, who couldn't be more pleasured by the fact that you chose to run with that particular angle. I mean, you should have just saw the faces in that interview. It's like, oh, well, you joined the club. Good for you. Welcome to the club. Crazy work. Perhaps Norman Jr. ought to hip himself to game and get educated about these things and what they mean before he goes on giggling alongside and cossetting the people and the platforms that could care less about anything other than a click, a like, and an uneducated community that they can swindle. Let's get to the matters at hand. Salute, I guess, to Brian Norman for officially initiating his VADA testing for the next 8 weeks in preparation for the fight in November. Wonderful work. If it ain't clean, it don't belong in boxing, period. There should be no time where ensuring testing is made a mockery of. That's the state of boxing today, that people get on these airwaves and on these platforms and can do that and play with the intelligence of the boxing public and make us take it as though ensuring such is a bad thing. That's it for me, y'all. I'm on to the next. Peace.